Hello! Look at me, being consistent, and actually keeping up with my promises. Anyway, I'm Skyrez. I don't know why I said Genesis yesterday. I was a bit confused. Anyway, uh, back with Buried. Uh, we're gonna do chapter 2 out of 5. We will see how this goes. I feel like last time was pretty good. So we're just gonna keep it up, you know? Just gonna turn that down a bit. Anyway, we're standing on the thin platform of what looks like a fancy subway. The rails look well used, but not old. There are small overhead lights that are very dim, as if they are running on emergency power. The dim overhead lights are a blessing, but the size of the place makes me feel vulnerable. Staring ahead, the tunnel seems to be endless. It's almost dizzying. But there's a small light further ahead, and then a space that breaks the monotony? Sure. Of the tunnel's curved surface. Another platform, maybe. What does Dennis think of this? What does he make of all this? Well, looks like we're waiting for. Looks like we're waiting for the D train. That's absolutely an innuendo. There is no way that isn't. Waiting. Dennis says with a deadly sounding cackle. See, he thinks so too. Also, the ringing noise is louder down here. It's much more solid now, and there's some other sound, something like a faint hum of machinery. What's your take on this, boss? You think we're safe here? Not at all. This is what I think to myself, but I don't want to let Dennis see that I'm rattled. While he seems to be limping along much better than when we first stumbled into this place, he's still in rough shape. I'm leading him here, and I should probably make him feel confident in that. Yeah, we'll be fine. Sure. We're too far in to go back. Besides, if we get caught for trespassing, I'm pretty sure we'd slide by. We're good. You're in pain, and we've got to find the rest of our crew. They could still be here somewhere. Dennis nods and looks reassured, albeit weak and miserable. From the looks of it, we can go either left or right. The left is slightly lit, the right not so much. This makes me uneasy because I get the sense that one wrong turn in a place like this would have us wandering for hours. Suddenly, I jerk my head to the right as I hear the unmistakable sound of someone walking. Did you hear something? I ask Dennis, my eyes straining to see anything in the darkness. Not sure. Maybe it kind of sounded like footsteps. I wait a moment, but the sound doesn't come again. So those are our options. To the left are flickering lights indicating that we'll at least be able to see There's also a hum of machinery, a sign of life. To the right is just darkness, but we also heard footsteps in that direction. Well, I think in this situation, um, we're here trying to find out what's going on and where the rest of the crew is. So I feel like it would be best to go and talk to somebody else. Maybe somebody that works here? You know. If there's anybody here they're worth speaking to, right it is. Okay. Well, that's not creepy. As we leave the glow of electric lights, things instantly start to feel a bit more sinister. I look at Dennis's injuries again. The gash along his side is inflamed now. And while the bleeding seems to have stopped, the amount that has soaked into his pants and shirt is beyond alarming. How much farther can you walk? Can you keep going? Yes, let's walk into the deep dark tunnel that has no business being here. He's right. The darkness we find ourselves in feels thick, like walking in syrup. Syrup? Really? That's what you were going with? Okay. I am reminded of the fear I felt as a child when I had to go into the basement to fetch tools for my dad. I was sure there were snakes or spiders or monsters of unimaginable horror lurking down there. I feel that same way here walking through the tunnel. That's when I see a human figure, far back in the tunnel, silhouetted in the faint light at the end. He's standing on some other platform up ahead and likely can't see us. It looks like he might be holding a gun, but it's too dark to be sure. Uh, let's call out to him. My voice echoes through the tunnel, bouncing endlessly off the walls. The figure turns towards us and freezes like a deer sensing danger. Why the heck did you do that? Dennis whispers to me. We don't know who that is. We don't know where we are. I don't know. Maybe he can answer some questions. But that doesn't happen. The person can't see us in the dark, and after a moment, the figure rushes away through a door up ahead. Chase after him. Get him. Grab him by the ankles. Take him by the knees. Knees? I don't know. As we head further into the tunnel, we reach another platform. There's light coming from the platform, but like the overhead lights, they are dim red emergency lights. I start to wonder if the explosion at the logging site caused a power outage in this place. Whatever this place is. The ringing noise that I originally thought was in my head is getting louder. I'm starting to think it's some sort of alarm. When we come to the large open area ahead in the tunnel, it further resembles a subway station. As much as I tried to ignore the reality, it's undeniable. We have stumbled into some sort of high-tech transportation system that is buried beneath the forests of Kentucky. It makes absolutely no sense and creates an entirely new sort of fear as to what the heck we have walked into. I notice that Dennis seems confident, though. When we reach the large opening, we have to climb over the rails and up onto the platform. I have to help Dennis over the rails and then up the small utility ladder that is bolted into the opposite side of the travelway. When he reaches a large open area resembling a subway waiting area, he collapses on the floor and lets out a heavy breath. You know what? This is ridiculous. I quit. I'm not going any further. On top of worrying about my crew and the madness of wherever we are, I'm not in the mood for Dennis to act like a baby. Dude, Dennis is missing like half of his stomach. What do you mean acting like a baby? I'm not the one with a gash in my side. Exactly. Jeez, my guy. I think to myself. So I decide to cut him some slack. Dang, boss. I'm sorry. It's okay. I don't know how you're still on your feet, if I'm being honest. Stubbornness. You need a minute to rest? No, if I sit down to rest, I'm afraid I might not get back up. Let's keep going while I can still go. I reach down, help him to his feet, and then we get ourselves up onto the platform. Right in front of us, there's an entrance to a long hallway exiting the platform area. It's at this point that I realize those red emergency lights might be on for someone else who is actually supposed to be here. Like that guy I saw earlier, standing on the platform. Yell out to him. I want to meet someone. Hello? Anyone here? My voice raised to almost a shout. There's not much of an echo. My voice falls flat like a rock from the sky. What? It's almost glad that I don't get... I'm almost glad that I don't get an answer. Hearing anything else in this hollow silence would have given me a heart attack. The emergency lights continue to flicker overhead, casting a sick sort of pinkish light on everything. My mind is racing with what sort of place this might be. It's obvious that it's meant to be a secret. And if it is supposed to be a secret, and there was a power outage recently, maybe most everyone has been evacuated. But then why was that one person still here? This thought does nothing to make me feel any better as we walk towards the platform exit. We step inside, and it seems just as empty as every other place we've come through, weakly illuminated by more overhead emergency lights. We're standing inside a hallway that looks surreal for a moment. Alright. I'm gonna say so far so good. I don't think we've done any major mess-ups. The hallway reminds me of a hospital wing, but there's something not quite right about it. It's the first clean and tidy area I've seen since coming into the woods. It looks like it was recently in use, despite the dim emergency lights overhead. There are chairs against the walls, and the floor looks well cleaned, as do the walls. The ringing noise is definitely coming from here, and a small flashing red light along the ceiling seems to flash along with it. That ringing noise is an alarm. But for what? And then he asks the question that has been on my mind since I found the little building in the woods. What the heck is this place? We exchange a look that speaks volumes. We reach the end of the hallway and hear a sound like a large metallic grinding. This is followed by a clicking noise and then the unmistakable noise of a generator kicking on. Well, that's good. Hopefully we'll get some actual light. Yes, thank you. That's always appreciated. Red lights are bad lights. Without warning, the facility jolts to life. The red glow of the emergency lights is suddenly replaced by bright white fluorescent ones. That mechanical hum is oddly comforting. Somehow the power being back on urges us on. It's then that I noticed the ring noise had stopped, so it had been an alarm. But for what? Just the power failure? We head down the hallway, the electric hum of the lights sounding eerie overhead. Other than that, the place is dead quiet. The hall is about 100 feet long with two main doors. One door opens onto a large room that looks like a conference room with a whiteboard and papers strewn about. Across the hallway, another door looks like a laboratory of some sort. Dennis slumps against the wall in defeat and lets out a scary-sounding chuckle. Something funny? Dennis just keeps chuckling as he slides down to the floor. I'm just going to sit here while you look around. There's a look in his eyes that reminds me far too much of a dead animal on the side of the road. Conference room or lab? Whiteboard and papers or a laboratory. I think we're going to get more information from the lab. I'm not entirely sure, but this seems like the first place to check out if there really was like a explosion, you know? Walking inside, I see small vials and glass containers held in a clear glass case. Everything is either glass or silver, and I instantly feel like I'm dirtying the place up. I notice several test tubes and glass cases, as well as some sort of tube system that seems to have a clear fluid trapped inside of it. In the back corner, I find a laptop in screensaver mode. Heck yeah, look at the laptop. I hit the enter key and a plain gray background pops up. There are several icons and folders to choose from. I click on a folder labeled Test 1.5 Ethos. A few documents are filled with formulas and names I mostly don't understand, but there are some things that are easy to understand. Things that make my blood go cold. Subject number 6, cause of death, embolism or aneurysm, or both. Ideas for new delivery mode, spherical liquid, including comatose state first. TerraCore Co. equals possible plutonium supplier. That's mildly intimidating. I can't help but check out the test tubes. They're all filled with varying green and light blue fluids. One of them looks to have some sort of glowing dirt resting on the bottom of it. Another holds what looks like a grasshopper submerged in liquid, only it's the strangest grasshopper I've ever seen. At first, it looks like it's expanding and contracting like a blowfish, then it contracts so much that it vanishes completely. As I look closer, it springs back into existence in a completely different test tube, and I'm embarrassed when I actually jump back. That's not good. I take another look around the lab, trying to piece together what might have been taking place here. I smell some sort of chemical in the air, and it makes me think that someone has used this lab recently. Outside in the hallway, I hear Dennis grunting. I head out of the room to see him still seated on the floor, but I don't get very far, because as I exit, a man comes rushing around the corner with an automatic rifle in his hand. Well, of all the things that I've said, that's not good today. That's really not good. Automatic. It's hard to look beyond his rifle, but the man carrying it is young with messy dark hair. His skin is so pale that I wonder if maybe he lives down here. He has the look of a guy who's been cooped up for a little too long. He doesn't seem like the kind of person I'd trust with a gun in a stressful situation. As he sees us in the doorway, he screams and brings the gun up. It is aimed directly at my head. Dennis jumps up and stands next to me like he's ready to run for it. I recognize him by his height and build. He's the person I could barely see back in that dark tunnel. Hands in the air. I don't have a gun. He does. I put my hands in the air, surprised at how natural it feels to go into this surrendered state. Maybe it's because this feels like a dream. Maybe it's because I feel like I'll snap awake if the maniac pulls a trigger. Who are you and how did you get here? The man asks harshly. Before we can answer, he continues speaking. I don't recognize you. If you're here, you would have had to sneak past the security, mix in the entrance hall. What? Who are you? Did you do this? The man eyes us both, and I see something in his eyes that unsettles me. He is scared, but there is something else. We are indeed just loggers. Just poggers. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. His eyes look distant for a minute. Then he says, "Bullcrap. Bull crap." Uh-huh. But for some reason, I'm pretty sure he knows I'm telling the truth. Someone knocked the power out. It's back on now, but if it was out long enough, well, we're in a heap of trouble. Was it you? Who sent you? Look, we don't know what you're talking about, Dennis says. Something happened out in the woods. Are you alone? Are there others with you? The armed man asks, thrusting the gun in my face. How the heck did we get in this situation, I think to myself. If only I had left that dang ringing noise alone, we wouldn't be here. I'm not really sure if we want to give this guy information yet. We don't know anything about him. Then again, he might have answers. I'm pretty sure it's just us. The man looks up and down, trying to tell if I'm lying. What happened before you came here? No clue. I opened my eyes on the ground and don't remember anything. The last thing I remember was feeling up my power saw, and then I was on my butt. We could hear the alarm from where we were. And there was a flash of white light, like a bubble coming up out of the ground. But how'd you get in here? I point down the hall towards the subway. We came in that way. The doors weren't locked. His expression calms a bit, but I'm still very aware of the gun that is leveled less than a foot away from my face. Tempting, but no. Very tempting, though. The only way I'm putting this rifle down is after I've blown your brains out. With that, he uses the muzzle of the gun to flip my hard hat onto the floor. It's a childish move, a playground tactic at best, but it's sufficient to show me that he knows he's in control. He then levels the rifle at Dennis, and I can only assume it's because his wounds make him appear to be the weaker of us. The man takes a shaky step forward. Dennis looks back and forth between the barrel of the gun and me, his eyes pleading for help. Easy clap. Easy solution. Before I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I step out in front of Dennis. The barrel of the rifle is nearly touching my chest now. Both Dennis and the man seem a little confused at my action, and I do my best to swallow down my fear. I don't know what's going on here, but we are here by mistake. Well, you have no business here, but now that the power is on, I think you might be too late anyway. For what? But he doesn't answer me. Instead, he steps forward and actually pushes me backwards with the end of his rifle. The man then repeats a question he asked before, one that makes no sense and honestly makes me think he might be a little crazy. Who sent you? You jerks from the Pentagon? I'm not quite sure how to take this question. Is this guy joking? I'm sorry. I can't not. Yes. The armed man looks as if someone has slapped him. Do you think I'm playing? Jabbing me with the barrel of his gun. Do you think I won't blow your head off? Still, his grip on the gun is as tight as ever. The look on his face makes me think he'll shoot at any moment. You both just stand still. Sooner or later, someone will come along and I'll turn you over. He again thrusts the gun forward, as if it has an invisible bayonet on it. There's no need for that. I have no guarantee that he won't pull the trigger. Look, we don't want any trouble. We're just as confused as you are. Then, in a movement so fast that I just about miss it, Dennis lunges forward. I have no idea how he is moving so fast. Just 30 seconds ago, I was worried about how close to death he looked. But now he's moving lightning fast, his left arm coming down on the barrel of the gun like a club. In the commotion, the man does pull the trigger. The booming noise is deafening, and there is a moment where I think I've been hit. It takes the clanging noise of the round tearing into the floor at my feet to help me realize that I have not been shot. I look to the floor and see where the shot missed my right leg by less than 3 inches. I'm paralyzed, in shock for a moment, as Dennis and the man fight over possession of the rifle. There's a fire extinguisher on their wall. I could use it as a bludgeon, but I might not have enough time to grab it before Dennis is overpowered. Let's do this. It'll be quick. I take the chance, dashing for the extinguisher. But my absence gives the man enough time to pop Dennis on the side of the head with the rifle. As I hear Dennis wail with pain, I rip the extinguisher from the wall and instantly lift it over my head. Dang it! The man realizes what I am doing as I come barreling across the room, but he's too late. I bring the extinguisher down quick. He doesn't have time to adjust the rifle for a clear shot. All he can do is partially block the blow, which he does poorly. I hit him between the neck and shoulder along his right side. He hollers out and falls awkwardly to the ground. There's a dazed look on his face, and I wonder if I maybe knocked him out for a moment. He still holds the gun, but his hands are limp. I feel the extinguisher heavy in my grip. I could hit him again to make sure he won't be a threat. No! Grab the gun! That'll give us leverage. That's as much threat as we need. He's definitely out now. No threat. Or at least that's what I think. But he surprises... Come on! But he surprises me by mustering up one more swift kick in my direction, connecting with my forehead. My eyelid swells to the size of a grape almost immediately. It seems like this last attack is more to spite me than to defend himself. I stumble back and ready myself for another round of blows, but he just slouches onto the floor. He's done. Dennis grabs the rifle and instantly hands it over to me. I take it with shaking hands. He is still wincing from where Marcus knocked him while I headed for the fire extinguisher. I can't believe you stepped between me and that gun. He could have killed you. I was pretty sure he wouldn't, although I had known no such thing. Still, thanks, man. That was some heroic stuff. You would have done the same, right? Dennis says nothing. His eyes look to the floor. Dang it. What do we do now, boss? We've come this far, and I want answers. I sense that Dennis does, too. I walk over and pick up my hard hat off the floor. After placing it on my head, I turn towards the man. We get answers from this guy. No answers. I don't have any. Next time, I won't just hit you, I say, plunging the rifle towards him. Now get up. He obeys quickly, but his legs are wobbly, and he leans against the wall for support. I can feel my swollen eyelid from where he kicked me earlier. I just hope it doesn't get so bad that it affects my sight. Okay, let's move, I say, pointing the gun farther down the hallway. We've come this far, and I'm not going to let this guy stop us. We walk down the hallway until we come to an end. A single elevator awaits for us. Its steel sliding doors larger than a normal elevator. It's like a big government... Oh, that's what it looks like. Okay. Yeah, big government elevator. There's a lot of those, isn't there? Whatever. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about him. I can tell it's making him uncomfortable for me to have the gun. Well, yeah. What's your name? Marcus. And you work here? It's clear that he doesn't want to answer, but he gives us a little nod. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they might be? No, he says curtly, not bothering to elaborate. There's got to be some useful info we can get out of this guy. I just need to know how to dig for it. I need a first aid kit for my friend here. Where might I find one? Down on the second floor, but we can't go there. Why not? Why not? He looks at me like I'm an idiot. You must be aware you're inside of a classified government facility, he says. It makes sense, but I want to doubt it. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm the president, so take me to the first aid kit. I can't. You don't have clearance. Heck, I barely have clearance. Then, seemingly to himself, he mutters, I make this place run. And not even a thank you, just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a friggin' chaperone. I interrupt his monologue. We're going to that first aid kit. I could lose my job, he says. I wonder for a moment what sort of trouble I could get in for hitting a government employee. This makes me glad I took it easy on him. Then again, he had come at us with a rifle. It makes me think that things have gone terribly wrong in this place. And the explosion in the woods, or whatever the heck had happened, might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the second floor, but I'm not sure if it would be more productive to threaten him or ask for sympathy. Sympathy? I want to be a nice guy. Look, it hasn't been the best day. We're just trying to find out what's going on to find our crew, to survive. I know that this isn't a normal situation down here. It looks like all your protocols have been blown to heck. Can't you help us out? He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. Okay, he says. Thank you. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad, and we can hear a slight mechanical hum behind the steel doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened sneers from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. Alright, I'm still a little concerned about what's on level 2, but I guess there's not really much else we can do. It's exceptionally well lit and looks to be made of stainless steel. I half expect the thing to take off at the speed of light. There's another small keypad on the front right panel by the door with the options for 3 sub-level floors. Looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. So after we get a first aid kit for Dennis, how do we get out of here? We can't leave. Once the power comes back on, the whole place was put on lockdown. What? Can't you override it? No, it's to prevent anything from getting out. I can't. Marcus looks deflated as Dennis. We can't get out. We're stuck here. Dennis leans into the corner and almost falls onto the floor. The struggle for the rifle took a lot out of him. I can see that much in his face. Slowly, we start to move down. The hum and grind of the car's motors fill the space. Well, we might as well find out what he can and can't do. Marcus bristles at the question, but I think it's fair. I mean, he's not allowed to unlock the doors or even get medical supplies. Why keep a guy around who can't even grab a band-aid without permission? Without me, nothing would get done here, Marcus answers me. These people think they're so brilliant, but some of them can barely turn their computers on without help. The top coder in my class at MIT, and I'm stuck living underground helping idiots who don't even trust me with keys. Alright, Nerd is mad. We have angered the nerd. Marcus shakes his head. You may as well shoot me. I can't tell you. Why not? It's beyond classified, and the things I know don't even cover the start of it. What does that mean? Starting to get irritated. It means that even if I wanted to tell you what sort of work is done here, I don't know enough about it. Okay, what do you do? Are you just IT? I handle the IT work. Yeah, oh, great. I handle the IT work and make sure the databases are up and running. It's a 24/7 job. I haven't seen sunlight in almost a year. I wonder what staying in a place like this for that long would do to someone's mind. I was recruited. Because of the workload, no one else wanted this job. But I really don't mind being by myself. No family. Plus, the IT, it's some crazy stuff. Crazy how? This place generates over 100 terabytes of data per day, he answers, getting the slightest bit excited before his face falls again. Okay, so what happened? I mean, if you're the IT guy, you're the one running the power and stuff, right? It seems like some sort of power outage. And that's all I know. There was an outage and then what? Then things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? The whole place seemed to shake when the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened and everything went dead. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were being killed by something. I tried getting the security cameras going again, but they only lasted for a little bit on my backup systems. But what I saw... What? I asked, feeling a sharp fear worm its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens for that little bit of time made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on. There's an emergency vault with a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place? Marcus gives me a grin that looks nearly insane. There are guns locked away in every room in this place. Just in case, you know? Huh? Just in case of what, Marcus? What might be in this base that would require guns in every single room? As he opens his mouth to answer, the elevator comes to a stop and the doors slide open. Marcus is out right away, without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for a glassed-in room that is filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Dennis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the heck kind of government facility keeps loaded guns and emergency vaults in every single room? And that's the end of chapter 2. Let's see how he did compared to everybody else. Let's see here. 58% of players called out DeMarcus when you saw him in the tunnel. Okay, fair. 6 step in front of Dennis. Cool. Can't say I'm too terribly surprised by that. 65, once again, not too terribly surprised. And were those really the only 3 important ones? That's a little surprising. Anyway, this has been part 2 of Buried. Been having a lot of fun with it. I feel like we're making some pretty good decisions here. Although I can't exactly say until we finish the game. But anyway, I'm going to be more consistent with this. Just like tonight. So the next episode's going to come out tomorrow. Until then, have a good night. See ya next time.